spent decades searching for truth, breaking free of lies I believed in my youth. I'm no longer eager to participate in a system designed to discriminate. I guess what I'm trying to communicate is that this doesn't have to be our fate. Our greatest investment is in one another, valuing each person as a sister or brother. Each person is a gold mine of opportunity. If you know how to find it, it's easy to see. We can end a system of monetary slavery. Working together, we can all be free. Today's a new opportunity to change our current society. The help you give today can get things on their way. Let's create a human development investment group. Working together, we can begin to recoup the value of each member of society, so we can all achieve prosperity. Real estate brings profits, true, but there are limits to what it can do. And it leaves people homeless too. Real estate value can only grow when people have money to show. Infinite possibilities exist inside every human, though they hide. It takes a little effort to find, but once you do, it'll blow your mind. This is your opportunity to change our society. The help you give today can get things on their way.
Alrighty, folks, it's time. It's time. You're gonna get to see my face. Oh no. What a treat, what a treasure, what a dish, what a doll. Alright, welcome into Real Talk. I may be the only person here right now, but we'll still talk real. I'm a big believer in real talk, because I think that one of the things that's happening in our country and in our world is that we've lost the art of talking to one another honestly, openly, freely about who we are, where we are, exactly as we are. We tend to hide. And, oh, yes, you are first. Welcome in, Ubi. First of his name. First of his game. So yeah, we tend to have this politeness armor that we put on, and we don't want to actually talk about the real things that are on our mind, the real things that matter. And what happens when you're not talking openly? I mean, I grew up in a dysfunctional family. Nobody talks to each other because they don't feel safe doing so. So they talk about each other. And what happens is that when you're not talking to each other, but you're talking about each other, is that all these misconceptions and misperceptions that we have as a result of just being human. Just being human. Part of the human condition is that we literally cannot see the same way. What I see is going to be different than what you see, even when we're looking at the same thing. That's just a fact of the human condition. It's an unavoidable part of it. And so that's why communication is really key. Non-accusational communication. In other words, I'm sorry, my hair's all messed up. But anyway, you're asking each other genuine questions. Hi, Pookie. Welcome in. We're just talking, getting ramped up and everything. And I'm talking about the fact that as part of the human condition, none of us can truly see eye to eye. We cannot see things the same way. Our biology literally prevents us from doing so. So I don't have the same number of cones and rods in my eyes that you do. I don't have the same exact height. I'm not standing in the exact same place. So even if we look at the exact same object, we're going to see something different. And that's why communication, open, honest communication, is so critical to the health of any society. And the ability to engage in that open, honest communication is such an important key to the health of society. Because, as I said earlier, in a dysfunctional family, people don't talk to each other, they talk about each other. And our society has become dysfunctional because we're not talking to each other, we're not talking with each other, we're talking about each other in the third party. And so that's kind of the reason and the impetus for this real talk, is to pull the lid off of that and encourage and invite real conversations about topics that matter. And it can be anything. The topic isn't limited. Now, I did pick a starting topic today. I picked, can AI replace you, as a starting point for our conversation? And the reason I chose that topic in particular is that I just got back from a publishing conference that I attended in Portland, Oregon, as a speaker. And while I was in the audience listening to their keynote speaker, he was discussing AI with a very pessimistic mindset for creatives, and a very much he did encourage people to continue doing art and everything, but he was very much you're not going to be able to get past AI, you're not going to be able to, it was, like I said, it was very discouraging. And so I stood up in the audience when they were talking, giving opportunities for questions to be asked, and I said, quite frankly, the truth is this: AI cannot replace you. Okay, let me stop messing with my hair. It's bothering me on camera. I should stop looking at myself. Anyway, AI cannot replace you. What AI is basically the lowest common denominator of human ideas and inspiration from the past. Okay? With some updates and some refreshes, but largely the body it was trained on is past data and past documents. So it's ideas from the past. It's not in the present moment. That's part one. And second, because it's such a conglomeration of human experience, it can't offer humanity what you can. You bring to the table an unrepeatable perspective. Even if they were to clone you, they cannot clone your life experience. They cannot clone all the people that you've encountered, all the moments in your life where you had these epiphanies or these changes in perspective. They just can't duplicate that. You bring to the table something unique and unrepeatable. But that's not discussed a lot. In fact, most people don't even realize that they are unique and unrepeatable. Truly, in all of human history, there has never been, nor will there ever be again, anyone with the unique combination of genetics, family history, life experience, skills, knowledge, experience, gifts, and talents that you possess. You are a unique gift to humanity. And the only way that gift gets unpacked is if you step up and allow it to be shown and allow it to serve others as it was intended to do. So no, AI cannot replace you. But you can allow it to replace you if you have the wrong idea about it. Because basically, AI is a predictive model. It's predicting the expected result based on the average interaction of human beings, based on all of the data that it's taken in and compiled. It's a statistical model of prediction for what the next step would be. What is it that should be generated based on the input you give it? And so that can tell you a lot about what the average human being would do in this given situation. It can be very useful to know that. In fact, when you're writing a book, if you want to find out whether your idea is unique, it's a good thing to hop into an AI, type in a few bits of the idea you got, and ask the AI where it would take the story. Because what it's going to do is give you a prediction of what the average writer would do with that idea. What the lowest common denominator of ideas is. So then you can spot, am I being, cliched? Are there a million other places where this particular idea that I've got has been done? Or am I bringing something truly unique to the table that readers might find interesting? Now, when you're writing a story, obviously there's something to be said for pattern recognition. Human beings, our brains are wired for pattern recognition. There's a reason that Cinderella is still popular hundreds, thousands of years after it was first told. It's because it's a story that we can relate to and see ourselves in, and we like seeing it. We like millions of variations of it. We go back to it and we revisit that idea and concept. So that is my answer in a nutshell to the question of, can AI replace you? Now, what would you like to talk about? Because this isn't just my show, it's our show. So any topics that you want to talk about related to AI, tangential to AI, about life in general, about the news, the current events, anything and everything is on the table. You are more than welcome at any point in time to hop in, chime in, contribute your ideas, your thoughts. I love hearing other people's perspectives because I think it becomes so valuable to us if you can be open to somebody else's way of seeing things. One of the most valuable conversations I had that was really life-changing to me was when I met this woman online, didn't know who she was from Adam, and she had asked if anybody could help her write her story. And I said, sure, because I developed a technique for it. If she could give me an hour, I could help her outline her story. And what I learned about her was fascinating. She's Muslim. I was Catholic. She was from Singapore. I'm from the USA. She had built multi-million-dollar businesses. I had tried to build businesses and failed my whole life. She'd been divorced 3 times. I'd never been divorced in my life. And she had 2 kids. I had 1. And so when I reached the end of the interview and she was kind of asking me what I would charge to help her with her story, I was like, I don't know if I can help her or not, because I don't know if we'd have enough in common. I was looking at all of our differences. And it wasn't until, hey, Josie, you've got a generally negative perception of the training methods of Gen AI. My preference in terms of how they trained AI was that they should have stuck to what is lawfully acceptable for them to use, and when they needed to use more modern means, things that are under copyright protection, they should have been required to pay those authors to use them. I mean, that's just the simple economics of it. To honor the authors, to honor the artists, to honor the people who created the very things that they're trying to capitalize on, is a simple matter of economic of valuing easy for me to say, right? Valuing those who contribute what is needed. If I require research, I am required to cite my sources, right? If I require research to write a paper, I am required to cite my sources, to give credit where credit is due. And they didn't do any of that. We have no idea what they did with the work or how it was used, none of the authors, none of the artists, none of the people that they took from got any credit for what they did. I don't really feel that's right. There are some generative AI systems out there that are being created where they do pay people to contribute to the training of the models. They are paying artists to create. They are paying musicians to create. They are paying people to do work for them, and that is a very, very valid method. I mean, and they're paying well as far as it goes. They're paying hundreds, but I know that they're going to make millions or billions off of what they get. Of course, part of the problem is AI hasn't produced profits. Even with what they charge, they're still underwater. It costs so much more to operate than what they charge, which is a fascinating thing for me. They're basically asking the public to subsidize something that's going to try and replace them. I don't know how they think that logic is going to work. But that's where I am, Josie. How about you? I mean, a lot of people have negative reactions to AI in general, and I understand why. I mean, I do sometimes use AI when it seems appropriate. I've tried to reduce the amount of AI usage I do this year, and do more of my own original stuff. My husband bought me a keyboard, so even though I have in the past used some AI art or AI music, and even now have, I'm trying to wean myself off that and basically use it as a springboard for ideas rather than the final product. So I believe that AI can be a useful tool for humanity. It is a synthesis of the human input we have. It does allow us to predict what we would create in a given circumstance. Those are useful things, right? It can speed up some tasks. But one of the hidden dangers of AI that people don't talk about is the way it disconnects us from needing one another. See, if I have a project that I want to produce to professional standards, and I don't have the skill required for, say, music, or maybe even art in some cases, then in the past, what would have to happen is I would have to save my pennies up or form relationships with artists and musicians so that I could fill in the gaps in my skill set and produce the thing that I wanted. And it would be kind of this collaborative piece then. It would be me bringing my vision to this other person and working with them and partnering with them to produce a version that was better because both of us contributed to it. Or if I had money, I could control the output. I could make it solely my vision. You know? So in a sense, we're using AI to bypass building relationships, building those connections. And I wonder what that's doing to us on a fundamental level. Closest thing to AI that you've ever used is playing video games. Yeah. NPCs are AIs. I mean, they're primitive forms of AI, but yeah. They're basically there to feed you. And more and more they are starting to use AI in video games for NPCs. It's very interesting to see. Hey, Malachi. Good to see you. Good to see you, Josie and Pookie. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing that we have to work. Social media's done a lot to isolate us. At the same time, I mean, I appreciate social media because it gives me the ability to connect to people all over the world. But at the same time, it also makes it so that you're less likely to have physical connections. You're less likely to go out into your community and actually meet real people and get to know real people. Not that the people in social media aren't real. but your neighbors. So I think that we have that problem, that challenge, that we may be shortcutting the relationship skill building that is necessary for human societies to thrive by using AI. And a lot of people are starting to use it as a substitute friend, building substitute relationships with a machine, because the machine is easier to build a relationship with than another human being would be. If you don't like what the machine is saying or doing, you can turn it off. If you don't like what the machine is giving you, you can turn it off. You can change it. You can tell it not to do that anymore, and it's going to listen. But another human being, you have to actually negotiate those things. You may have to work with somebody you don't like. You may have to participate in groups where people that you don't see eye to eye with are in those groups. And you have to learn to communicate and learn to get along and learn to relate to them. And those are very important skills, because the most important skill that we've got is the ability to give and receive love. That's what keeps us bound together as a society. And when we start losing that, when we start losing access to those skills, because love is an offshoot of a set of skills, when we lose access to those skills, when we stop learning how to build relationships with real people, our society's in real trouble. And I think that is actually the greater danger from AI. It's not that, and the fact that because it makes production easier, because it simplifies the process of taking the ideas from our head and putting them on paper or in the world in form of music or dance or whatever, then we can lose the skills required to be able to do those things. It can kind of be erased from society, and so after a while, nothing good that's new starts being created. It all starts to be derivative from a single data point. And I think that's a real danger that we need to watch for and be concerned about. It's like when they introduced calculators, they made us learn to do the math first before we could touch the calculator. And I kind of feel like that should be the way we do things with AI. Make people learn the skill set, and then AI is a tool to fill in gaps or to speed up processes, not to replace us. And creativity is a very important thing for humanity. Creativity is where our ability to adapt, to survive, to become resilient, all of that resides in our creativity. If we're relying too much on a machine to be creative for us, when the crises times come and we need that creativity skill, it will not be trained and ready to support us. It's a muscle, kind of like anything else in your body. That creativity is a process whereby the brain sorts through the things that you've already received and know and puts it together with things that you've learned and finds new ways to put them together, new ways to fit them. And that's where ideas and innovation come from. But it takes skill to build that. It takes time to build that muscle, that creative muscle. And it takes a lot of data and a lot of input being given to you before it really clicks into place. You weren't allowed to use calculators for math. You had to write the problems out in freehand. We had to write them out in freehand first. But then once we had proven that we were masters of the mathematics and we weren't dependent upon the calculators, then we were allowed to use calculators to speed up the process. But only once we'd proven that we could do math without the calculator. And that made it more likely that we would be able to catch errors, more likely that we would be able to see where things went wrong in an equation. And it just makes you a better it makes your brain better to learn to do the process first. I often tell people in business, look, you're not really ready to outsource a role in your business until you at least understand the fundamentals of how to do it. Because otherwise, what's going to happen is one of two things. First, if you don't know anything at all about the process and how it's supposed to work, you're going to fall for the shiny object syndrome. You're going to be taken for a ride by somebody who knows you're ignorant and is going to take advantage of that. And then if you can't do the basic work, you're going to have unreasonable expectations about what it takes to do the work. And so you'll get frustrated with people, and you might even fire people unreasonably because your expectations were unreasonable. Not because they couldn't do the work, but because what you expected them to do was unreasonable for what you were paying them to do. So those are the two traps you fall into if you don't understand the basics of how the work is done. And I think the same thing is true with AI. It kind of creates this black box of creation where you type in the text and you get the blah. But that means you don't understand how to fix it if a problem crops up. When AI does the work for you, for instance, and the lighting is off in a scene, or the perspective is wrong, or as has been the case in some instances where there's too many fingers on a hand but everything else is fine, you don't know how to go in and fix that. You're stuck. You gotta regenerate and regenerate and regenerate and hope that somewhere along the way AI gets it right. Whereas if you understood the basics, you would know, okay, the lighting is off on this scene. Here's what I need to do to go and adjust that. And you could pull it into a program and fix it quite easily. But again, like I said, those are the things that come to my mind. I'd love to hear your input. Even on what I said, if you agree, if you disagree, this is a safe space, about as safe as it gets. You're not safe to have people agree with every word that you say, because none of us will. We're human beings, not robots. And it's okay to disagree here. It's okay not to see things the same way. In fact, as I was saying earlier, it's biologically impossible for the two of us to see things the same way. So, feel free to speak up and to speak out. You're not going to be judged for thinking differently. I would be quite surprised if you didn't. We've all had our own experiences with AI. Some of us have more experience with it than others. I mean, I remember I was being so excited when AI came out because I had thought that it was going to be able to help me close some skill gaps and allow me to take the visions in my head and make them a reality. Ooh, working with AI on even getting simple things done can be a beating. Even as advanced as it is a couple years later, it's still giving you some laughable results. Things that just are weird. Like, okay, so there's this AI video generator, right? And the scene calls for a guy who's roughly in his 20s to be seated across from his mother, who's roughly in her 50s. And they're supposed to be staring at each other and talking in this scene. And what the AI generated was she's staring off somewhere into space. And he's weirdly positioned at the table. It's supposed to be a conversation at a dinner table, and they couldn't even get that right. It was weird what they were doing with it. And after a while, I was just like, you know what? It's not worth it. The amount of headaches. I'll find a different way. You got no experience with AI? Okay. Well, you know what? Maybe this is a good opportunity for me to show you a little bit of what it can do and what it can't do. And some of the hilarious things it does when it gets it wrong. All right. So I'm going to pull up in ChatGPT, and I'm going to turn on my window capture so you guys can see what's happening here. And I've got the nice fancy version, because this is a tool we use quite often. So, all right, guys, let's work on creating a story with AI. Woo. All right, so we're just gonna, this is a bad prompt. Don't do this. If you ever use ChatGPT, this is the worst prompt in the world to use. Write me a short story. Okay, so you see how quickly it did that. Now let's read through it together, and let's see what we think. Yeah, there are some times when you just have to wonder what in the heck they were thinking. Here's what they created. Rain hammered the tin roof of the little gas station diner at the edge of nowhere. Maura sat alone in the last booth, turning a silver wedding ring around and around on the table, though she hadn't worn it in 3 years. Outside, lightning split the Iowa sky so bright it turned the cornfields white for a heartbeat. Okay, so we're at a little gas station diner, and there's cornfields all around the gas station, I'm guessing? Does that make sense? The waitress topped off her coffee. You waiting on somebody? Mara smiled without looking up. I'm deciding. That sounds dangerous. It usually is. Yes, actually, you can tweak it. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. The bell above the diner door jingled. A man stepped inside wearing a soaked denim jacket and carrying an old guitar case duct taped at the corners. Mid-40s, maybe. Tired eyes, familiar face. Too familiar. He froze when he saw her. Mara? She felt her stomach drop like an elevator with snapped cables. Ben? The waitress looked between them like she'd accidentally walked into chapter 12 of a novel. Smart woman that she was, she vanished. Ben approached slowly. You still drink terrible coffee, huh? Wow, way to insult the waitress and the place. You still carry that guitar around like it's holy scripture? That's kind of a weird analogy. It's got me through 2 divorces and 1 flood. That's either a glowing endorsement or a warning label. He laughed once, quietly, and there it was, the old gravitational pull, the thing that had ruined perfectly sensible decisions 20 years ago. Ben slid into the booth across from her. Rain rattled the windows harder. I heard you came back to town, he said, for my father's funeral. I'm sorry. He would have appreciated the weather. Said sunshine made people lazy. Ben smiled at that because he remembered. He remembered everything. Okay. I'm not sure what everything is, but anyway, for a moment neither of them spoke. The years sat between them like a third person. Finally he nodded toward the ring. You still carry it? Mara looked down. Reminds me not to make promises when I'm lonely. That aimed at me? If it fits, wear it. He absorbed the hit without flinching. Older now, less defensive. That's fair, he said. I earned some of that. Some. Not all. 23 years earlier, Ben had stood at her apartment door in Minneapolis with the same guitar case and a dream bigger than his sense. He'd asked her to come to Nashville with him. Okay, so notice how it's doing a whole lot of telling right there. Not a whole lot of showing us. She'd asked him for stability. He'd called her afraid. She'd called him irresponsible. Both had been right. Both had been cruel. Ben rubbed his hands together. You know, I used to rehearse speeches for if I ever saw you again. Oh? Yeah? I thought it'd sound wise, profound, maybe devastatingly charming. And I got nothing. Mara snorted into her coffee despite herself. The storm flickered again outside. Ben leaned back. Did you ever get everything you wanted? The question landed harder than she expected. She thought about the promotion in Chicago, the condo overlooking the river, the silence waiting for her every night when work ended, the carefully constructed life that never quite wound up. Yes, she said finally. He nodded once, understanding more than the word itself. That bad, huh? She looked out the window. Funny thing about getting exactly what you wanted. Sometimes you discover you asked too small. The diner went quiet except for rain and distant thunder. Ben looked at her for a long moment before reaching down beside the booth. He lifted the guitar case onto the table and opened it. Inside wasn't a guitar. It was paper. Hundreds of folded pages. Mara frowned. What is that? Songs. You wrote all those? Most of them. Why are you showing me? He shrugged, suddenly nervous in a way she remembered vividly. Because every love song I ever wrote was about you, and it feels dishonest to die without that published, or to die with that unpublished. Mara stared at him, at the storm, at the years, at the impossible timing of life. Then she laughed softly, not because it was funny, but because sometimes truth arrives so nakedly you either laugh or break. Well, she said, reaching for the stack, the coffee's terrible, the weather's apocalyptic, and apparently neither of us learned a single thing. Ben grinned. Outside, thunder rolled across the fields like heaven moving furniture. Okay, so it's not the worst story I've ever read. I mean, but it's got, like I said, a lot of tell to it. It doesn't feel personal. I wasn't motivated. I wasn't moved by any of it. What it's lacking is heart. And I say that because that's the core piece of what draws people to writing is the heart. So what that means is your humanity, your empathy, your authenticity, your relatability, and your trustworthiness, which are all in the way that you write. And this kind of lacks it. I mean, I can understand two people whose dreams took them in different directions, and now they're coming back together in this small town, and, you know, she's got her ring on her finger because obviously she was one of the 3 he divorced, I guess, but she hasn't forgotten the relationship, and, you know, they keep coming back to the coffee's terrible, which is terrible repetition. It wouldn't be the worst start to a Hallmark movie, but, you know, those are not great. Those are performative and generic, and that's pretty much exactly what this is, performative and generic. So, if you were to take this piece, what exactly would you change? You know, what elements would make it more alive for you? I do appreciate that it gave a silver wedding ring, which is an interesting detail. But, and we know that it's set in Iowa. I'm guessing there's cornfields across from this coffee gas station diner. I mean, that's pretty generic. And a tin roof of a gas station diner. I'm trying to picture that in my head. And why would you carry an old guitar case filled with songs? No guitar in it. That just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. Especially, why would you carry it inside the diner? Like, you know, that logistics, I'm thinking, what in the world would that be about? I could see it. I could see you doing that if there were a guitar in there that you wanted to protect and you didn't want to leave that out in the parking lot where it could be stolen or something. Not that this seems like a place where there are other people except the waitress. But if you're going to protect your writing, a guitar case is not the ideal place, especially one that's got duct tape around the edges. Maybe more background on where she's from and why she's in Iowa currently. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know, I mean, we did find out it was for her father's funeral. Um, but yeah. And more details about maybe, you know, I mean, you could even give hints about the father's funeral, about the Chicago background and the way you wrote that first paragraph. We learn a little bit about her character in that she has chosen to sit alone in the last booth. She's somebody who's not really interested in being noticed or paid attention to. Now, she's turning that silver wedding ring around and around on the table, which is interesting. Because she hasn't worn it in 3 years, so why she would have it on the table? That's the other question. Whose silver wedding ring is it? Is it hers? It says she hasn't worn it for 3 years. Is it, is that how long ago the divorce was? Was that a first relationship? We know that he's had 3. We don't know anything about how many she's had or what happened there. Maybe the guy died. Yeah, it's severely lacking in details on the characters and the storyline. And that's part of what doesn't really grip us. We don't know enough to care. We don't know why she's here. Why is she here at this gas station on this rainy night? Is she planning to leave town, or is she just coming into town? Was she headed out the door or in the door? Little things like that, putting us in the place. This is what I would say is, this is an okay, rough draft. Yeah, exactly. She could be a widow. It could have nothing to do with the divorce. The breakup with this dude, Ben, which, the fact that I don't remember his name after having read the story is because I have no emotional attachment to him, right? He's not mid-40s maybe. Tired eyes, familiar face. Okay, too familiar. You didn't actually need to tell me that. If he froze when he saw her, and the next thing out of his mouth was her name, that would tell us that they knew each other without you having to tell me he's too familiar or that he had a familiar face. The stomach dropped like an elevator with snapped cables. Okay, that's an all right metaphor. And the waitress looks between them and then makes a B. Yeah, exactly. Why is there a gas station in the town in the front of a cornfield? I mean, why? Normally, if you're on a little country road, those gas stations are set well out front of those things. You don't usually have nothing but cornfield across the way. There's usually like a parking lot or something. Yeah, it's kind of weird. And he is from this town. So why is he carrying... Yeah, and that's another detail. I heard you came back to town. So evidently Ben is supposed to be from this town. And he said sunshine made people lazy. So he would have appreciated the rain. Usually it's the opposite. Rain is the thing that makes us stay indoors and do nothing. And sunshine is what gets us out and working. For a farmer, which I'm guessing he would be if he's coming from a town where cornfields as far as the eye, for a farmer, rain is the enemy of work. And you don't need to tell me that Ben smiled at that because he remembered everything. First of all, whose perspective is this story from? First last chance for gas before hitting the road going somewhere else, I guess. I mean, that would be like if we had the diner name Last Chance in a cornfield, that would be appropriate. And yeah, the ring is apparently their wedding ring. Because he says, he nodded toward the ring, you still carry it. And she says it reminds her not to make promises when she's lonely. And uh, he'd ask her to come to Nashville, but then, um, he gave, but that doesn't make sense either because apparently they didn't get married. He'd stood at her apartment door in Minneapolis, so she's not even from Iowa, right? She was in Minneapolis with that same guitar and a dream bigger than his sins. He'd asked her to come to Nashville with him. See, the threads of the story are already starting to unwind, and this is a short story. Just kind of weird. Alright, so let me see if I can find one that'll turn text to video, and we can show you what that looks like. And I guess I should actually turn that on and my webcam off. So give me just a second. If it'll actually show, which it isn't. There we go. Okay. Now let me see if I can find us text to video. Let's see a decent one. This one says create AI video for free. Alright. Video Claw. Try now. Alright. I'm gonna go ahead and log in with my Gmail. See what we can end up producing out of this. I've never used it before, so it's okay. Yeah. Welcome to video. Alright. Do they have text to video? Reference to video, image to video, text to video. There we go. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this first paragraph. We're going to drop it in the text to video. And we're going to see what it produces. I'm not going to tell it what to do. Yeah, it should be interesting. And by the way, Iowa's not the edge of nowhere, I'll just have you know. Winnemucca, Nevada would be closer to the edge of nowhere. Wendover, Nevada. Ely. Those places, edge of nowhere, because you got at least 2.5 hours of driving before you find anything else. Once you get past those places, if you break down, you are hosed. It's not really like that in Iowa. Oof, I've got myself 80 whole credits. Woohoo! Let's see what it can create. No cell service usually. Yes, exactly. So, you know, if you get stuck on I-80 in between those little towns, you better pray to the Lord God Almighty himself that somebody comes along and finds you before. As it is gonna be heck. It's like, you better pack some blankets and stuff. Practically need a survival kit in your car. Not that we had the money for that, but you really should. You really should. If you're traveling Nevada along I-80 in between those towns, you really should have a survival kit. And I will tell you that if you're using AI, you need to be way more specific in how you prompt it. This may even be a bad prompt. I'm not giving you great prompts here. Prompts are how you tell the tell the AI what it is you want it to produce. When you say, write me a short story, you're basically giving it carte blanche to drop whatever hot garbage it wants. And that stuff isn't copyrightable, just an FYI, because there was no real human involvement in it except for you prompting it. So, alright, let's see. Oh. Yeah, look at her finger. It's not even actually, she's not moving the ring. She's moving her finger, but not the ring. I mean, he's doing a decent job with the lightning and all. And the rain and the tin roof. But yeah, I'll pop this into chat for you guys because it's just about hilarious. Um, you guys will be able to see it in more detail. And it's produced 8 seconds of video. So is that a cup of milk over there, or is that supposed to be what in the heck? I guess it's supposed to be. Yeah, it looks like a cup of milk instead of a cup of coffee. Okay. Yeah, so that's AI attempting to give us Mara sitting alone in the last booth, turning a silver wedding ring around and around on the table, while there's rain hammering the tin roof of the gas station diner at the edge of the cornfield. It's doing its best. You gotta admire it for effort. Um, Maybe a sugar container. Maybe, but it's kind of like cup shaped more than it is sugar container shaped. I don't know. Um, yeah, the glass is on the table at the Da Vinci's Last Supper. Hey, Rob, good to see you. Yeah, we're just sitting here playing around with AI, talking about what it can do, what it can't do, where its limitations are. I mean, this is decent, right? You know, but look at her finger. It's not even on the actual ring. She's not really messing with the ring. This would definitely not be something that would pass muster if you were to put it in front of other people. And we were talking about the fact that no AI really can't replace you. So far, it's barely adequate to use. Um, Even when you give it details and stuff. Now, one thing that I will say is that Suno AI, which I have a subscription to, and we'll flip over there, can do some really impressive work. But it also has a studio. So if we were to let's create a song based on that that movie or that story we were just working. So if I type in, oh, you know what? Actually, I can let it create a song for me. Style, sappy romance, and let's give it a female voice, and say song title is Still Turning That Ring. And we're gonna actually take the Rady reunion story, rain hammered on the roof, and we're gonna turn it into lyrics because I'm lazy. So rain hammering on the roof. Let's see, sappy country romance. We'll do that because it's Iowa, so you know, gotta do that. Rain hammering on the tin roof, sitting in the back booth, aloof. thinking about leaving, feeling sad, and down. There we go. That's works. Now let's go to the next part of that. And this will have a little more human than the other. Silver wedding ring turning on the table. Thinking about him. Love never found. Alright. No worries, Malachi. Just delivered the package that Rob Gunner and Fretworks sent you. That's cool. Rain hammering on the roof, sitting in the back booth aloof, thinking about leaving this town, feeling sad and down. Silver wedding ring turning around, thinking about him and a love never found. Okay. That's so far. Waiting on somebody. Man steps in. Let's see. Alright. Old familiar face steps through the door. Stepping through the door. Lightning strikes. He walks in. Old familiar face. Um, Carrying rain-soaked jacket, old guitar, worn familiar face again. Familiar face once again. Let's see, guitar. Carrying a beat up guitar case. Yeah. There we go. Rain-soaked jacket, familiar face, trouble showing up once again. Blood on her shoes. That indeed would go bad. Alright, let's see. So, carrying that beat up guitar case. Now, we'll make this silver wedding ring turning round and round. Thinking about him and a love never found. We'll change it slightly in this verse. Thinking about him. And a day love was found. And, or maybe Let's see. Too many years gone by. Too many memories. Too many memories made. One funeral. Let's see. Too many years gone by. Too many memories made. Too many things. Let fly. Picturing Snoopy in his writing face. Yes. Many things let fly. Is a spark. Let's see. Made, dade, sade, wade, fade. Too much love to fade. Still too much love to fade. There we go. Time for Daddy's funeral. For last goodbye. There we go. Bye. We've used memories too much. Let's see. She's home for a last goodbye. Dad's gone. She's all alone. When he walks in that door. We need a rhymer with no tears left to cry. That's a good one. All right. We may move this verse up. Yeah, I think we will. We're going to take this, move it up. Alone, alone, alone. Let's find out what rhymes with alone. You'll give me some ideas. There is, yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for being here. I'm glad you came. And if we can help you with anything, that's makes it worth it to me. Let's see. Home for Alaska. Bye. Dad's gone. She's all alone. Silver wedding ring, turning around and around, thinking about him, and a love never found. Yeah, there we go. Then I'm thinking about everything. There we go. We'll change that slightly. Lightning strikes. He walks in, rain-soaked jacket, familiar face. Trouble showing up once again. Carrying that. Let's see. Carrying that beat-up guitar case. There we go. We'll change this too. Since we're doing twos now. Too many years gone by. Too many memories made. Too many things let fly. But too much love to fade. Over one ring, turning around, thinking about everything. And a love lost and found. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, you went out for Chinese, shared good memories. He was 6 when she died. That's so hard. That's so hard. But you know, the only reason that we get so hurt when we lose somebody we love is because of the depth we carry. You know, because of the way, how deep we loved them. Ah, so, yeah, let's see. He's a vision from the past. Someone she thought she'd never see. Part of her heart. Um, some years it seems easier than others. Yeah. She's a vision from the past. She thought she'd never see a part of her heart she left chasing the big city. Climb the ladder. But it left her sadder. All right, Malachi. Thanks for coming. I hope you have a great weekend too. Yeah. A moment of eternity. Yeah, okay. A part of her heart. A moment of eternity. There we go. Put that back there. She climbed the ladder. She won the dreams, but it just left her sadder. Nothing was what it seems. This is going to be one heck of a long song so far, but it was undying love for her. Words never spoken. Perhaps with her. Back then he didn't know how to say it all. Songs say it. Oh, goodness. Oh, we're almost done. And then we'll gin and we'll see through the song show. And they issue a call. Put on that silver wedding ring. we go. Put on that silver wedding ring. Let that lost love be found. We can work through anything if we let love be our sound. Hey, hey, no worries, Jeremy. It's okay. We are just working through ChatGPT, VideoGen, and now we're doing a song in Suno that we wrote based on the story that ChatGPT created. So here we're going. We're going to generate. This is just... You don't actually have to write the lyrics yourself, but the lyrics do tell it how to hear your song. I know, right? Pookie's gonna be your manager. Let's see how it sounds. I hope that you'll be able to hear it. Maybe not. I may have to download it and play it. It's gonna take a little bit. Sappy country romance. Duties. That's true. She did say that. And this is why AI can't replace you, because it's not going to pick up on things like that. No. Haha, we're 12. Pole Vault Jr. That's special. AI doesn't appreciate toilet humor. No, no, I'm sure it doesn't. It doesn't have to go potty. How could it appreciate potty humor with no potty? It's hot. Well, we're still cool here. We still got the cool weather going on for whatever reason. Taking its sweet time generating. But not bad. Like I said, you can let AI take the lead and pretty much create anything for you, but then you're not creating anything, and I don't really think that's super healthy. Or you can do the smarter path. Let's see if you guys can hear this. Let me know. Okay, you guys, if you can't hear it, silver wedding ring, turning round and round, about everything, and a love gone underground. Predictable, see? Strikes, he walks in, rain-soaked jacket, familiar face, trouble showing up once again, carrying that beat-up guitar case. Too many years just gone by, too many memories made, too many things let fly, but too much love to fade. Silver wedding ring, turning round and round, thinking about everything, and a love lost and found. From the she thought she'd never see. A part of her heart, a moment of eternity. She climbed the ladder, she won the dreams, but it just left her sadder. Nothing was what it seems. Silver wedding ring, and round, thinking about everything, and a love lost and found. I mean, heck, this ain't too bad. I just old and tired, just written while they were apart, full of his undying love for her, words about who they were. Back then, he didn't know how to say it all. So, and the issue a call, that silver wedding ring, let that bust. I kind of like it. I kind of like it. Did you guys get a chance to listen? I don't know if you can hear it. I mean, I'm singing along, so I'm sure you can hear that part. But it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. But I think part of it is because we wrote the lyrics together and gave it. So there's a second version that it generated. But I honestly like that first version pretty good. Alright. But anyway, that is how AI kind of works, and it's not the best version of how you would work it, but it is showing you what it can do and what it can't do. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's feeling lonely. That really should be changed. Yeah, feeling lonely and down. I think I'm gonna change that one lyric. You can hear me, but not the AI version. Okay. Yeah, you'll have to follow the link to get the AI version, I guess. Let me go ahead and regenerate because I like this version, but I want the I want to change that lyric. That is another challenge that you have. Sometimes if you have to correct the AI, especially on a song, it's not so easy to do. Getting the original version you like corrected is not so easy. Let's see. And the nice thing about doing something like Suno is that it can give you really good ideas for rhythm tracks or for lyric flow if you don't have it in your head and you're kind of struggling to get there. Oh, you're on your phone. Yeah, that does make it a challenge. Yeah, you can hear the songs it pulls from. And that is kind of the problem, is that it is pulling from a lot of well-known sources, so you're gonna end up sounding kind of like a Timu version of more popular singers. tin roof, in the back booth aloof, thinking about leaving this town, feeling lonely and down, home for a last goodbye. Dad's gone, she's all alone, no tears left to cry. The time has flown, the wedding ring turning round, round and round, thinking about everything, and a love gone underground. On strikes, he walks in, silk jacket, familiar face, showing up once again, getting that beat up guitar case. Too many years gone by, too many memories made, too many things let fly, but too much love to fade. Silver wedding ring, turn around, about everything, and a love lost and found is a vision from the past. She thought she was seeing a part of her heart, a moment of eternity. She climbed the ladder, she won the dreams, but it just left her sadder. Nothing was what it seems. Ring, turn around, thinking about everything. See, it's a little bit different version. Lost and found. Face holds his heart. Yeah, it does. One of the things you can do is go back in here and view it later. And pick up the... I'll put the links in the description. Yeah. Let's... There we go. So you have now experienced 3 different versions of AI and what the possibilities are, should you choose to take advantage of them. Like I said, it's not that I think AI is awful. I don't. I think it's a tool. But I do think we need to be careful about how, when, and whether we use it so that we don't end up erasing our ability to create. And we don't end up losing the relationships that we form when we partner with other people to help us fill in the gaps where we don't have the skills or the abilities. And I do not think you should let it flat out create for you. Like I said, the story is not the worst I've ever read, but it's also not that great. We did better with the lyrics than the story itself. And I think that speaks to us and our ability to pick out what the heart of the story was, what really it was about. And you know, because it's the heart that people connect to, always, every time. Well, folks, it's been a pleasure. Jeremy, I'm so glad to see you. I know I haven't been able to get to people's videos much and lives much lately. Yes, that is true. If it is used, it should be disclosed. People should not be claiming credit for creating as if it was a truly 100% human generated work, because that's not fair to those who put in the genuine effort to make something truly original. Like Jeremy is the master, right, of creating truly original work. And yeah, one of the things that I wanted to update you guys, I put in my resignation at my job because my vision for how the role was supposed to go and my boss's vision for how the role was supposed to go were two very different things. And I was finding myself very confined in how I was allowed to serve, what I was allowed to do, what I was allowed to say. And so it just didn't. I feel like I can serve our community better apart from that role than I could in it. And so I also felt it was better for me to step aside and give them a chance to find a replacement. So I'm no longer, as of tomorrow, the tourism coordinator for Morris, Minnesota, but that doesn't mean that I can't still hook you up. I do know who to go to, and I know, the benefits of having had the job is that I now understand better what tourism departments need and how to work with them, and that means that, I can tap into all that, and that's good. I think learning is never wasted. It's never, everything that you experience is a learning opportunity. Yes, I agree. God will use it. It was a very wide gap between my expectations and what I got basically told I was allowed to do and not do. And it was very frustrating while I was in that position. So I wrestled with it, though. I didn't want it to be my ego telling me to quit. I wanted to be sure that this was a nudge from the Lord, because, when you're operating in alignment with Him, He'll open those doors. And the funny thing is that the minute that I came back from the writing conference and then thought about stepping through the doors to work, I could feel the difference in my energy. At the writing conference, the publishing conference rather, I was energized. I was alive. I was in my environment. And then when I thought about stepping back into the doors at work, all of that energy was gone. Yep. And it's not even about what makes me happy, because you can become holy in a place that makes you unhappy. Because actually, here's a better way to put it. Happiness is a choice we get to make. About what we choose to reflect on. Are we filling our minds with all the reasons we have to be grateful, or are we filling our minds with all of the things that we don't have or can't get to? So in a sense, we kind of create our own happiness. But it's about whether this is the place where you can serve to your highest capacity. And I didn't feel like that job was going to allow me to do that. So it was better for me to step aside and let them find somebody else. And the nice thing is, the way that I handled it was basically I turned in my notice on Wednesday and let them pick the timeline, so that I wasn't rushing them. If they needed me, I would stay longer until they could find a replacement, but if they wanted to let me go, they could, and they did. So, yes, exactly. So I can breathe. I've got 3 hours more of work at that job, and then I am done. And then I go to Chicago for a writers' conference. So that's something I need to talk about too. Next week, I am pretty much not going to be available. I'm going to try and set it up because I'll be in the airport getting ready to fly out at 6:30 p.m. next week on Monday. And then on Thursday, I'll be headed to the airport to get on the flight to come back home. So I essentially won't be available Monday or Thursday of next week, and I'll be at a writer's conference Then I'll be home on Friday, and so Saturday will be just normal. Just like this week will be normal. But yeah, Monday and Thursday next week probably won't. I may try to have a premiere up. I'll see how that goes. My hard drive is hammered with content, and I have to wait until some of the hardware that I ordered arrives before I can free up some of that space. So I haven't been able to do much video editing and stuff because that takes space and it takes memory. So at any rate, but that's where I am at. I love that you guys showed up. I appreciated you being here. And hopefully I will see you Saturday if you get a chance to stop by. Thanks for watching, and now I need to find the place to end my stream. So you guys are awesome and amazing, and I'm so glad that you guys show up. Whoop. All right, let me go over here.